thank you, Juan Antonio Samaranch, that is already there. The first question to everybody is that what was the idea to candidate this time? Why you decide to candidate this time?
Well, Gianni, first of all, let me thank all the people that have joined us today, because it's a feast. As you said, we have people from all over the world, in all over time zones. So some of you in California, 5 a.m. My God, you're my heroes. Thank you very much for being there. And there might be people that are way past their bedtime in Australia. So thank you all for joining us today. Listen, why to be a candidate? To me, it's pretty clear. I've had the privilege in my life of being part of the Olympic movement for a long time. I've been an IOC member for 24 years. And I have been able to participate in this extraordinary life experience together with so many interesting people. Right now, at that moment in my life, where I have a long experience, both in managing and dealing with all the things that the Olympic movement has to deal with every day. And I have also a very strong experience, life experience professionally in the world of business, in the world of finance. I think that having reached this point of my life where I have the energy, the stamina, the willingness to do it, and the combination of experiences, it's my time to try to contribute my views and my ideas for the future of the Olympic movement. It has been a great opportunity, a great privilege to be part of this race, and I do that with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah, I have seen that in your program, your manifesto, you are speaking about what is time now, after so many years, to change also inside the house of the IOC. How to organize it, because how to involve more the IOC member and everything. Why you think that it's time to change the pace?
There are two things here. First of all, I've been part of Thomas Bach administration for the last 12 years, and I've seen the extraordinary job that under his leadership we have done. His motto when he started was clear: change or be changed. And he went to an accelerated change in the IOC through Agenda 2020 and 2020+5 to continue to make us relevant in today's society that was accelerating itself. Well, guess what? My idea, and I think that most of us in this call might agree, is that the world continues to accelerate. And what needs to be done for the future is not a revolution, but an extraordinary rapid evolution of many of our main work lines, because the world continues to accelerate. So I'm not advocating for change just per se to change, but an acceleration of the change and the rate of change and the rate of adapting ourselves to the reality out there, to society, because we are just part of them. The second part, as I said, yes, I think that some change have to be made. I really believe, and it's one of my strong beliefs, that the IOC has demonstrated an extraordinary resilient career throughout 130 years of success that led up to wonderful games in Paris. And that is because I believe we have a very good governance system. We have 100+ volunteers with no other objective than to make sure that the values received from the previous generation, the Olympic values received from the previous generation, are passed on stronger, if possible, to the next generation. And this combination of skills, experiences of these 100 volunteers, I think that conform a great governance system that has taken us to where we are successfully. I trust more in this governance system than in a strong professional, exclusively administration, strong and professional, or in the, as so many other international organizations, a concert of different nations. That is why I think that we have to reinforce our belief in our governance, historical governance system, and we have to give the membership and the session the powers it needs to continue making the key decisions for our future.
Okay, now let's go to the problem of today. For example, when we speak about parity of gender, yes, you reach the parity of gender, but now there is the problem also of transgender. How you want to defend the women's sport, or because there is a big polemics here around this, and also there is a lot of fear regarding if we don't solve the problem, because people are very confused. What is your position?
Yeah, let me try to be very, very clear because it's pretty straightforward. In 5 years ago, when we started dealing at the executive board of the IOC with this problem, the idea, and it was very well thought of, was women's sport has to be safe and fair. Since safety and fairness would be different for different sports, it's not safe and fair the same thing at table tennis or boxing. We passed on to the federations how to execute that safe and fair proposition. But no matter what we want, is the reality what counts. And reality is that in Paris, we saw that the social alarm about transgenderism and about not only transgender, about DSD, this has been there. And the world is expecting from the IOC what we have claimed for so long, the leadership in sport, in the sports world. So if I make it there, dear Gianni, if I make it there to the presidency, I will make sure that it will be the IOC to lead across the board the decision on how the women's sport has to be kept safe and fair. And we will do that immediately, and we will be based that on scientific evidence that is abundant nowadays.
Okay. Yeah, the problem is also regarding, somebody is speaking that in the Olympic you have to introduce the prize money.
Mm-hmm. Well, with all due respect to everybody, and I necessarily have, I strongly disagree. I strongly disagree because first, let me say, I strongly agree that the champions and the sportsmen that make a living out of that and they become the living and moving inspiration for the youth of the world, they have to be very well compensated and they have to be very successful in their lives. But they have their national Olympic committees, their sponsors, their countries to gratify them for their successes and the World Championships and the World Cups in their own specialties. The Olympic Games, sorry, to me are different. The Olympic Games, in the pinnacle of the world sports pyramid, up there in the top of the pyramid, we have the Olympic Games that they have generated in the last quadrennial $7.6 billion US. That money goes back to the base of the pyramid through financing the next organizing committees, through the national Olympic committees, through the international federations, and through our solidarity programs. I think that taking any money that we take from that, filtering down to the base of the pyramid to make it broader, if possible, to compensate to the current today champions, I think it's unnecessary because they are compensated enough at the Olympic Games. And I think that that money has to be used to flatten the curve and make the Olympic Games more accessible for more people. Bear in mind that those champions today, the champions of 6 months ago in Paris, they were young kids 12 years ago, when other champions did not have prize money, and the money they could have claimed went down through the pyramid to pay for the buses that had to be rented to take them as kids to regional competitions, to take them to buy new equipment for the gym in their neighborhood. And all that doesn't come from thin air. All that basically comes in today's organized sport world, with few country exceptions from the revenues of the Olympic Games. So I really believe that the model we have is adequate and fair. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to the nowadays the situation, political situation around the world is very tense, no? Somebody said that we are at the brink of the war and everything. But what do you think for the participation? Especially next year, there will be the Winter Games here in Italy. the participation of the athlete of the country that are in war. What will happen? What is your opinion? Still neutral situation, different situation?
In general terms, I mean, we better stick to the principle and try not to make exceptions, because as you very well say, it's not only two conflicts that are every day on the newspapers, but it's more than 45 world conflicts. Some of them even more cruel and more with more devastating humanitarian crises than the ones that are more in the front of the news. We have to stick to the principles. The principle is that we exist for one purpose and one purpose only, is to bring the youth of the world under one roof, symbolized by the Olympic Village, to demonstrate that despite our differences, despite where these people have been born, in which political system they had been born, in which society, in which religion they have been born, that we can get all together, celebrate our differences, and demonstrate that another much better world is possible through sport.
Yes.
So if we take sides, if we as an organization, if we take sides, if we yield to pressure from the West or from the East, from the North or from the South, from one religion or another, from one social system or political system or another, we would destroy the universality of the Olympic Games and what we really exist for. So we have to be extremely clear and extremely strict. If a National Olympic Committee is not compliant with the Olympic Charter, we have to suspend it, and that means that they will not participate in the Olympic Games. By the same token, as we did for the many times in the past, we will then open a gate for independent, now we call them independent neutral athletes. So we would not shatter the dreams of a young generation of people that were born, I'm not going to say in the wrong place, but were born in a certain situation that they cannot control, and they want to participate in the games. It's difficult. This not being political, Yanni, is very complicated, and in itself, it's a way of being political.
Okay, sure. Now let's go to the other problem, that zero tolerance for doping and also match fixing and manipulation of result.
That's an easy answer. I'm going to use your same words: zero tolerance for match fixing, doping, and any kind of trying to alter the results or the fairness of a competition. I mean, if we lose the credibility that the competitions are safe, sound, and fair, we are doomed.
Yeah, but in the last period, somebody has questioned the situation of WADA. They don't say that WADA perhaps is still at the level.
Listen, one of the first things the next president of the IOC will have to do is to address the situation, and let's be specific, because we are not talking about general things, about the specific situation between USADA and WADA, and that has to be addressed, and the next president will have to make sure, together with the other constituencies of WADA, they will have to take care of that. But let me tell you one thing. I'm certain, and I know, that the people running WADA and that the people running USADA, both of them, regardless and despite the difference and the fights and the exchanges that they generously give each other, they both are fighting for the same objective. It's not that one wants people to be doped or the other one. They are fighting, but the objective, the things that we are trying to do, is the same. So it should be possible, with a lot of energy, maybe, but it should be possible. It has to be possible to get together all the minds that are working towards that same objective in the same direction and finally get it done. I mean, I cannot believe that cannot be done, and that needs to be done quickly. Safe and internationally agreed upon set of rules on how to fight against cheats are absolutely necessary for the credibility of what we all here do.
Okay, so now, if you allow me, I open the question to all the colleagues. So the quickest I did that this time was one of the youngest. Wojciech for Poland, from Poland. No, Wojciech.
Good afternoon, Mr. Samaranch.
Afternoon.
During your, let's say, sport administration career, you've been for a very long time the member of the executive board, and then also for a very long time the vice president of the UIPM. And this is the federation, or in fact, the whole modern pentathlon is the sport that for all those years is on the edge of the Olympic program. And that was a big challenge for, and that has been, still is a big challenge for this sport to keep in the Olympics. And last week we saw in Cairo that after the changes made in the latest years, also including the very big change of the discipline, changing the riding to the OCR, there is a strong decrease of the participants of the World Cup, with 58, I think, men and just 38 women, with only 33 eligible for the semifinal. And with that decrease of the latest decisions of the UIPM, how are you going to build, as the potential IOC president, as yourself, from those, let's say, unfortunate experience when there comes another discipline with such challenges to keep the popularity and keep their place in the Olympic program? How are you going to help them, basing on that?
Wojciech, sorry, more than a question, this is an article.
No. The question was at the end, just to give the background.
I will. Don't worry, Yanni. I will try to make it short. First of all, thank you for the question. Let me tell you, I'm strongly convinced that the move that we did, and by the way, I'm not anymore vice president of modern pentathlon. I think it was the right moment to go. Probably way too late. It was too much time there, but I think strongly that the changes that we propose for modern pentathlon give modern pentathlon the possibility to be saved and continue to exist in the near future. I don't see any possibility of a future for modern pentathlon if they would have kept horses and not substitute them by the obstacle race. It's gonna be much more universal, more economic, more fair, and it's gonna be accessible to many people across the world. I understand that in many, especially European countries, the tradition of modern pentathlon, and tell me about it because I've been there for more than 30 years, was something very precious. But the idea, and I'm going to paraphrase someone that participated very much in the change, if we would have the horses and the old program in modern pentathlon stay, modern pentathlon would now be in the Olympic Museum, not preparing for Los Angeles.
Okay, next, Philip Barker. Okay, you are connected.
Now you're disconnected.
No, we cannot hear you. Philip, you cannot hear you. You have to open the microphone. No, it's not open. Open the microphone.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. No, you're closed.
Philip has problem with connecting.
Yes. No, you have some technical problem, Philip. I think that
maybe it's better if you turn off the video.
No, Philip.
I'm going to stop the video.
Try to speak. No, it's better that you go out and you come back, and after you will make the question. We go to the next. Jakub.
Okay, can...
yes.
Good
Philip,
afternoon. Yes.
Enter, go out and re-enter. Okay.
Good afternoon for all. Good afternoon, Mr. Samaranch. This is very huge honor for us that you meet with us. So, And according the bookmaker polls, you are a favorite in this race. What are your 5 most important things you would like to achieve during your term? And a very important addition, this situation in the world where Argentine, then in the face of Donald Trump's next announcements, how to act in such the uncomfortable political situation.
Okay, Jacob, I'll try to be very straight. First of all, on the polls, it mesmerizes me that people can have an idea what the result is going to be. I have no clue. So I have not looked at any, and I wish good luck to anyone that wants to bet on those things. It is, for insiders, it's practically impossible to predict what the result will be. Imagine for outsiders.
I know.
5 most important things. Okay, let me try to summarize it. The first and most important thing, and we can go around in circles and we can think about being brilliant in the answer, but it's as simple as successful, relevant, and reliable Olympic Games. Period. Without that, there is no universality. Without that, there is no financing. Without that, there is no pyramid of world sports. Everything crumbles down. So we have to continue with adapting the program. We have to continue adapting how we do it. We have to make sure that we select the right host cities. We have to go to the success of Paris day in and day out. That is what is going to keep our movement going. Once you have that, we have to fight for the universality, of course. I said it before. Without that, we're nothing. There's no reason to be for the Olympic movement if without the inspiration that people, that humanity have much more in common than not. Then I think it's necessary that we enhance our work on our finance. We have a very good finance and revenue model with the broadcasting partners, now with digital included. We have a very good thing with the top sponsors, but we need to modernize all those things to adapt to new technology. We need to bring new sources of revenue, because it's not that we are greedy and we want more money, but there is no limit to the amount of money to be invested in promoting the base of the sport. So there is all that to do. And I think that, and I finish, to get all that done, Jacob, it's very important that we do that, take into consideration the common wisdom, as I said before, of the entire IOC membership.
Okay. And about the Donald Trump situation?
Well, listen, I'm not naive, and the world is very complicated. But let me tell you something. Donald Trump himself announced at the inauguration that one of the 3 most important things in his presidency was going to be the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And the American people, the US, has an strong tradition with the Olympic Games of love and devotion for the Olympic Games. And I'm sure that having the opportunity to impress the world in Los Angeles in 28 is an opportunity the American people and different administrations are not going to let pass. So I think that our objectives are very much aligned with the US administration in this matter. Of course, the world is complicated and we all watch the news and we all are aware, but I think that we have a very powerful and reliable partner for the Games in Los Angeles 2028.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And good luck.
Ernesto Ortiz. Ernesto, because he raised the hand. If Ernesto is not ready, we go to Zarina.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And my questions: how will you work with national Olympic committees to improve the training conditions for athletes in different countries?
Well, there are. Thank you, Zarina. It's very. Listen, I of course, as a candidate, I would like to say I'm going to change everything, but this is something that is pretty much working, and of course, we have to get more resources to do it, but we have the funding of the Olympic Games that goes to the National Olympic Committees and the International Federation, eventually filters to the National Olympic Committee of Kazakhstan, and through you to the National federations of the different sports, and that is how it works. Sometimes when we see opportunity, we have the Olympic Solidarity program that has been increased in 10% for the next quadrennial. It's almost $700 million that will be distributed in the next quadrennial. That will go and support and give extraordinary help for particular situations when a National Olympic Committee or a National Federation needs a special coaching, needs a special technification. So it's something that is working. It can be done, more can be done, of course, but that depends on the financing. Let me link that to my previous answer, saying the more revenue we can generate through the Olympic Games to distribute to the bottom of the pyramid, the better. More money will be there for your youth trying to prepare for to be the next generation of Olympians.
Thank you.
Ernesto Ortiz, are you there now? Yes, okay.
Sí, hola. ¿Se escucha?
Sí,
Se escucha.
se escucha.
Bueno, muy bien. Aproveche que tienen la traducción simultánea, así que, don Juan Antonio, muchas gracias por compartir esto con nosotros. Quería hacerle una pregunta y ponerla en contexto. Desde el año 2006, posterior a la asunción de Gianni Merlo como nuevo presidente de IPS, la FIFA ha tenido la costumbre de enviar circulares en cada mundial invitando a las federaciones deportivas a que consulten con las asociaciones nacionales de periodistas deportivos las cuotas de acreditación para que sea un reparto equitativo con prensa escrita, fotógrafos, medios sin derecho, los non-right holders. Lamentablemente eso no ha sucedido en la relación que mantenemos con los comités olímpicos y la pregunta era si en caso de que usted fuera presidente podremos pensar que las asociaciones nacionales de periodistas deportivos les será compartida las cuotas de acreditación por los comités olímpicos para que podamos saber a quiénes les envían las solicitudes de acreditación y quiénes se acreditan, porque se ha comprobado en muchas ocasiones que los comités olímpicos utilizan las cuotas de acreditación no precisamente para periodistas deportivos. Esa era la pregunta. Gracias, muchas gracias por su respuesta.
Ernesto, es muy difícil que yo ahora, en este momento, tenga una respuesta precisa a cómo hay que hacerlo, pero por lo tanto, yo espero no desilusionarle con mi respuesta, pero sí que le voy a poner algo que espero que sirva, que es, en principio, como dije además en mi presentación a los miembros del CIO y a la prensa el 30 de enero en Lausanne, yo creo que la relación entre la prensa y el movimiento olímpico tiene que volver a mejorar. Quiero decir, la prensa, lo dije con estas palabras, la prensa no es nuestro enemigo, es nuestro amigo absolutamente necesario para comunicar nuestras ideas y lo que estamos haciendo. Por lo tanto, bajo esa perspectiva, la optimización de cómo se reparten las cuotas entre periodistas, fotógrafos y demás medios dentro de un país, no tengo en este momento la capacidad de decir si es justo o no es justo como se hace y si es justo en todos los países o si es un problema nuestro o es un problema del país, de cada uno de los países, pero nuestro objetivo será, que ya lo es, pero nuestro objetivo tiene que ser incluso más asegurarnos de la justicia y de que nos garantizamos la mejor difusión posible de lo que estamos haciendo.
Muchas gracias.
Ernesto.
Thank you. Friedberg, Ralph.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
You speak about the Agenda 2020 and 2020 +5. What do you think about Olympic Games like 2028 with Connie Slalom, 2,000 kilometers away from LA, cricket and possibly baseball in New York, or next year with Milan and Cortina, possibly with bobsled, luge and skeleton, possibly in Lake Placid? A colleague was in Cortina last weekend together with an Olympic champion in bobsled. They are not very optimistic that the track will be finished on time? And with that, in addition, what do you think about the proposal to rotate the Winter Games between 3 or 4 places in the world?
Wow, Ralph, that was a machine gun of questions. So let's see. Let me start. You are going to have to help me here if I forget anything there. Let's start by the last. No, I think that okay. Or let me try to bundle them a little bit. I say in my manifesto, and I strongly believe that there is a huge difference in the Olympic Games and the sports that make the Olympic Games. It's very, very different, the Olympic competition than the World Championships. And the difference is that the people that follow the Olympics, Rolf, the people that follow the Olympics has very little to do with sport fans. Most of them, mostly women, by the way, most of the people watching the Olympic Games are people that would normally not watch sports competitions. They watch the Olympics for the values, for the personal stories of improvement, of becoming better, of fighting against difficulty, for very healthy national pride. That is the difference. And the value of a same competition in most Olympic sports, of a world championship, or that same people, that same competition, same heroes, same everything, under the Olympic rings, it goes between 5 and 20 times difference in value. So whatever we do with our Olympic Games, we have to preserve above everything else that they are a special thing and they are Olympics. And the most important symbol is the Olympic Village. So, and sorry for the long speech. So, going to answer. Every time we can, to the best of our ability, I think that compactness is better than being dispersed by a principle. We accepted and promoted dispersion to make sure that we help countries, cities, and territories to organize the Olympic Games and don't make foolish investments in venues that might have not legacy for the people in that territory in the future. And we will continue to do that. But if I'm president, decisions on dispersion will have to be made for very serious reasons, because there is no enough venue, or because there is some sound decision. Even it can be even strategic decisions of promotion of a sport, but it will have to be the exception and not the rule. I think very strongly that we have to protect the essence of the Olympic Games. That is what makes our thing magic.
Next, Sergio from Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead.
Thanks again for the opportunity to share this space with everyone. Mr. Samaranch, your father was the former president of the IOC. I would like to know if you feel any pressure to live up to his standards, and what do you think you need to do to perhaps meet or surpass what he has done?
Sergio, with all the love, respect, and pride that I have for my heritage, my last name, and my father, different worlds, not even different worlds, different everything. My father joined the Olympic movement around almost 60 years ago and left for 25 years ago. None of the things that he and the other people that had to come to save and reinvent the Olympic movement at that time, none of the challenges they faced, none of the recipes that they had to use to get along have any resemblance of the challenges or the recipes of today. So unfortunately, unfortunately, there's no connection. There is nothing from there that can be applied today. So I feel a lot of pressure. I feel now pressure because I'm in a competition, and like athletes, because I want to win. So I have the pressure of trying to produce the best possible ideas and try to produce the best possible answers to people like you, and so that's the pressure I need, but I don't have to, I'm not here to demonstrate anything about my legacy. I think it's a privilege enough for one person, regardless of that legacy, that supposed legacy. That is what I'm feeling. So thank you for talking about that legacy, but unfortunately or fortunately, this is a completely different ballgame.
Okay, Raúl.
Buenas tardes, gracias por la oportunidad a Gianni y a Juan Antonio. Me gustaría preguntarle, usted como ex vicepresidente también del COI, imagino que tendrá muchos lineamientos en común con Thomas Bach. Me gustaría saber en su plan de gobierno cuáles son los lineamientos a potenciar de la gestión de Thomas Bach y cuáles son las principales diferencias, en qué se tiene que diferenciar la nueva gestión de Juan Antonio Samaranch en caso de que sea agraciado en marzo en las elecciones de Olimpia.
Bueno, creo que me has demoted porque sigo siendo vicepresidente. Oye, y orgullosísimo de esa vicepresidencia. Pero vamos a ver, yo creo que las cosas bueno, la presidencia de Tomás Bach ha sido extraordinaria. Algunas presiones tremendas, ha tenido que superar el aplazar un año los Juegos de Tokio, hemos tenido que hacer unos Juegos de invierno en China en bubbles, metidos en burbujas por el tema del COVID, hemos tenido que superar una crisis institucional de credibilidad por el tema de los dopajes en los Juegos de Sochi, tuvimos que superar unos Juegos en Río que tuvieron muchísimas dificultades de organización y financieras. Ha sido una presidencia durísima. Y con todo eso podemos estar muy orgullosos de donde estamos. Yo creo que esa capacidad de gestión, ese estar encima de los problemas, es algo que hay que potenciar. Creo que ha generado una administración potente, que funciona y que saben muy bien, que son apasionados de lo que hacen y hacen muy bien su trabajo. Creo que hay que reestructurarla un poco, hay que organizarla para que sea más funcional o que a mí me parezca más funcional, pero esa administración que él ha ido creando es la base de todo el futuro que tenemos delante. Y sobre todo, él ha sido la excelencia personificada en conseguir que el Comité y el Movimiento Olímpico tengamos una posición en el Concierto de las Naciones de muchísimo respeto. Nunca hemos tenido tanta presencia en Naciones Unidas, nunca hemos tenido tanta presencia en cualquier foro político de más de 3 naciones. Siempre había en las declaraciones finales alguna referencia al movimiento olímpico y a nuestro trabajo por la paz y por la esperanza de la humanidad. Creo que esos son los factores principales a trabajar. Desde luego hay cosas que me gustaría cambiar, hemos hablado de alguna de ellas, creo que tenemos que ser más actuales en cómo gestionamos nuestras fuentes de ingresos e incluso ir a por nuevas fuentes de ingresos, lo he dicho, creo que podemos ir a gestionar unos fondos de inversión que nos permitan no solo traer dinero al mundo del deporte y mejorarlo, sino dar unas rentabilidades importantes a los que lo hagan. Creo que podemos traer un fondo de donantes que nos permita multiplicar nuestras reservas financieras. Creo que podemos hacer muchas cosas al respecto. Pero, sobre todo, creo que debemos modificar un poco el rumbo para traer de vuelta a la sesión del Comité Olímpico y a sus miembros el poder de decisión sobre temas claves. Repito, la gobernanza que tenemos de 100 voluntarios que sin ningún tipo de interés personal dedican lo mejor de lo que han aprendido en la vida a cómo vamos adelante, se ha demostrado durante 130 años como un sistema de gobierno difícil de mejorar.
Okay. Now, Elias Makoni. Go ahead, Elias.
Yes.
Thank you, President Gianni. Mr. Samaranch, greetings from Nairobi and greetings to everybody. 11 years ago, when you were addressing a global Africa Business Summit in Dubai, you said that Africa should actually host the Olympics by 2032. But a lot of things have happened. Of course, we know Brisbane is hosting. When you take over if you take over as president, will you perhaps try and push for an African Olympics? Because Africa is the only continent that hasn't hosted the Olympics. Cape Town had a very strong bid for 2004, and already South Africa and Egypt have shown interest for 2036. What is your view on Africa hosting the Olympics? And my second quick question is, what is your take on the current situation in boxing, between World Boxing and the IBA? Will we see an end to this particular fight in boxing? Thank you. Gracias.
Ok, Elías, muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. Okay, African Olympics. Let me go a little broader than that. I try to talk all the time about universality, and that the world is not anymore about Western values or Eastern values, or we accept all values and do not compromise with any of them, or we are doomed. So that is clear. So part of that universality is that we have to make sure that there is no part of the world that is excluded from the possibility of bringing the benefits of organizing the Olympic Games to their home communities. Benefits that are clear to most of us. I mean, the minute you bring all those values home, you are going to really generate a boost of Olympic values within the local community. So the first thing that I have proposed is that we have to make sure that when the bidding comes for future hosts, it will be done through a future host commission analysis. And when we have projects that make sense and are possible to be done, that will be taken finally through a process to decision for a vote. And that vote will have to eliminate any constraints and any disadvantages due to, for example, climate that might affect a significant part of your continent. By the way, a significant part of my continent in the south, like Spain, south of Italy, Greece, or the Middle East, significant parts of Asia or America. So the first thing that we need to understand is that to be truly universal, we will have to make sure that we are ready to modify the world sports calendar in the Olympic year if necessary. But if a candidacy comes from Africa, be sure that it will compete in fairness with other projects, and it will not be at a disadvantage because of climate. We will make sure that the necessary adjustments are done so you, Kenya, or someone else in your continent will be able to fairly compete. And on a personal note, I really, really would like to see Olympic Games eventually in your continent. It's long overdue. On boxing, I'm going to be very short. I'm not going to get on today's debate on one federation or another. I think that we, IOC, we have recognized the new federation, and I think that that's a perfect and very important step forward. But let me tell you something, with or without anything, under my presidency, boxing will always be in the program. It's too important, it's too critical for so many national Olympic committees that they cannot dream of medals or even of sending athletes to the Olympic Games without boxing. No matter how, but boxing will always be there.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Donna. Donna, it's your time.
Yes, welcome. And, I've been around a long time, Juan Antonio, but I have two questions. One is, what is the role do you think could be enhanced with the Youth Olympic Games as a way to enhance a global engagement of the Olympic movement? And number two, if you do become president, would you open up the dialogue as it pertains to rewarding recognitions to athletes that competed against proven East German athletes that cheated in track and field and swimming? I know Michelle Ford has written a book. I don't know if you've read it, but it's a very poignant story about her career, trying to fight getting back recognition. And I've often spoken to many athletes from the Olympic movement who competed against the East Germans, and they still are hurting. So I just wondered what your perspective was on that. Thank you.
Okay, Youth Olympic Games are, I think they are here to stay with us. But we have to make them useful.
Yes.
Much more useful. Today, they are extraordinarily powerful for two particular communities. They are extraordinarily positive, and they give a lot of Olympic energy to the local community organizing the games and to the young athletes and their families and their entourage participating in the games. But there's not enough communication. I mean, you are the media, for Christ's sake, all of you here in this call. You do not report in the Youth Olympic Games at all.
Right.
Or even the host country reports on the Youth Olympic. And it's not because you are mean people that you just don't like to report on that. It's because there is no interest. So we have to find a good balance in keeping that thing alive that takes Olympism to countries that would not be able to dream about organizing the big games. But together we have to make sure that we rethink them from the bottom up to see how we can make them more substantial. On your second question, listen, Donna, I hate passing on a question but I don't have an answer to you. I really don't know, and I don't want to just here start mumbling and improvising. It's that kind of thing that, and you and I have talked about many things, and you helped me making an opinion on a number of issues in the past. Thank you for that. But on this one, sorry, but in time, eventually, I promise you I will provide you an answer if I'm president.
Wonderful. We can have another discussion about that then. Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much. I think that because today there was an avalanche of possible question, we will finish with Juan Guerra, okay? I cannot accept anymore because if not, we go over the limit also of the translation and everything. Melissa, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Climate, global warming. I would like to know how sport, health, and sustainability are linked for you, and what will you do to help this connection be successful globally, like the president? And what do you think about artificial intelligence in the Olympics?
Belisa, can you go again with the first part of the question? I maybe I got I did not. It was the connection was not too good.
I would like to know how sport, health, and sustainability are linked for you, and what will you do to help this connection to be successful globally, like if you were president.
Okay,
and another
no, the second, I got it. Thank you, Belisa. First of all, sport and sustainability. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. Sport is part of society. And there is no doubt today, even today, there's no doubt that sustainability is one of the key issues that we human beings have to take into consideration. We had the most sustainable games in Paris, and we will continue down that route. It's a great thing to say, it's a great thing to do, and we have to be as sustainable as possible, champions of sustainability in everything that has to do with our area of responsibility. Not beyond, but within our area of responsibility, which is the International Olympic Committee and the Olympic movement. We have to be sustainable in our day-to-day operations. The Olympic Games have to be sustainable in their own system and in their own operations. And the entire ecosystem in which we participate, which means suppliers and all the things related to our responsibilities, Olympic responsibilities, they are more and more sustainable, and we are pretty efficient. And I think that if you look at any by any standards, it's never to be complacent, but we are doing a very good job. AI, I don't know where to start, Belisa. Everything is going to be affected by AI. I mean, when people tell me, what are you going to be your priorities in AI, I say, you don't need priorities. You don't need to say where are you going to apply AI. AI will apply itself on everything we do, whether we want it or not. It will affect judging and refereeing. It will affect how our athletes and future athletes train, how they protect themselves and recover from injury. It will be the way we broadcast, the way we give access to the athletes of the past and today, and this will happen. It's in my manifesto. In less than 3 months, we will have the technology ready. All past and present athletes will be able to link themselves to our archive and pull out, Donna, your performances in the Olympic Games, and you will put them in your social media. And it's not only because we want to make it good for the athletes, past and present, which it is, but they are the people that communicate about us. I mean, the general public, they don't care about me, about the president, or about the EB, or about anybody else. They only follow the heroes, the athletes. So the more we empower them to be successful in the social media, the better for us. So AI, I mean, I'm probably this multi-country international press conference or whatever Gianni wants to call it would not be possible without artificial intelligence already. So what can I say?
Okay. Now, the only problem that we will ask you not to allow in the competition the robots that are very similar to the human beings because they are going on this direction. Because
well, Gianni, sorry, but I went to a few months ago. I went to MIT, met with Professor Roos and all her incredible team in the AI lab, with one of the most powerful AI labs in the world. And I was a little shocked because they would only talk about when we are going to allow robots and drones to participate in the games. It might be my age, but I'm not ready to see that in my term. So that will not happen. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. Mei Zhao.
Thank you, Gianni. Good afternoon, Mr. Samaranch. Your father, your father drove Olympic prosperity through commercialization. Today, rising costs, decline bids, and a never-expanding list of other sporting events threaten its sustainability. If you become the president, how would you draw on his legacy? How would you reform the Olympic economic model to ensure long-term success? Thank you.
Thank you, Mai. Okay, I think I've answered, but I'll summarize some other answers that I've done. Number one, there's nothing of the recipes that generated the bonanza of the Olympic finances to be able to blossom the Olympic Games 45 years ago that can be applied today. But let me tell you, there is a lot to do today. We have strong broadcast partners, and now with the digital, we are more and more understanding how this will move us in the next decades. We still operate the most successful ever sports marketing program called TOP. It just needs to be updated. It's a 45-year-old program, for Christ's sake. It needs to rejuvenate and make it more flexible to adapt to today's marketing needs. And there are so many things that through technology and without technology that can be done to increase the revenue sources that we have, that I'm very optimistic that we will be able to not only to maintain the current level of service and development of world sport, but we will be able to increase it.
Takafumi, it's your time.
Hello, Mr. Samaranch. This is Takafumi Yoshida from Kyodo News. Could you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's been a while, but so I can't question about your father, but what kind of father he was for you, and like, if it's possible, would you share your memories of him and the influence he had on you?
Takafumi, let me. Sorry, but let me tell you, in this campaign, I never thought I would have to defend myself from my last name. And I said that very clearly to my partners, to my fellow members, and to the press when I participate in the January 30th presentations. I'm going to keep for now the pride that I feel for being the son of my father, but I can only tell you that it's I'm very, very proud of that. That I'm trying to keep that out of this race in every possible shape or form.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, we are going to Algeria. Yeah, go ahead. The microphone. Okay.
Bonjour à tous, j'ai deux questions. D'abord, la première question, c'est l'avenir du karaté aux Jeux Olympiques. Est-ce qu'il fera son retour? Il n'est pas dans la liste pour les Jeux des États-Unis. Et ma deuxième question, pendant les Jeux de Paris 2024, on a vu beaucoup d'acharnement
Écoute, pardon, Faisal. Il y a un écho que je t'entends pas tellement bien. Je n'ai pas compris la première partie de la demande. Il est en écho. Je ne sais pas si on peut améliorer ça.
Et ça passe comme ça?
OK. So.
Alors, ma première question est par rapport au karaté. Le karaté.
Oui. Le carabine.
Est-ce que la
OK, karaté, OK, maintenant j'ai compris. Qu'est-ce que tu veux savoir de karaté?
L'avenir du karaté par rapport aux Jeux Olympiques, est-ce qu'il fera son retour ou c'est définitif pour ce sport? C'est ma première question.
OK. Avec karaté, je peux te dire que c'était un grand succès dans les Jeux de Tokyo et j'étais très serré des résultats, mais c'était la décision des comités organisateurs de Paris 2024 qu'ils ont décidé de changer la propose de nouveaux sports. Ils ont changé, ils ont éliminé le karaté du programme. Ils ont porté, tu te rappelles bien, je suis sûr, breakdance. Et c'est la même situation avec Los Angeles. Ce n'était pas en décision du Comité international olympique, c'était en décision de la partie qui correspond au comité organisateur. J'ai beaucoup d'admiration et de respect pour votre sport. Je l'ai pratiqué quand j'étais très, très jeune, avec zéro succès, mais quand même, j'espère un jour la possibilité. Je suis un bon ami de votre président, c'est un espagnol, Antonio Espinoz. Alors, j'ai beaucoup de pression toujours avec Antonio de toute la vie qu'il pousse toujours pour le karaté. Mais quand même, j'espère le meilleur pour votre sport. Mais c'est comme ça, c'était la décision des comités nationaux, des comités organisateurs de Paris et Los Angeles.
Est-ce que je peux parler pour ma deuxième question?
No, guys, because we are already over 1 hour, I have to give the floor to other. Alexander, I ask you to have quick question, please. Okay?
You mean me?
Yes.
Yes? Hello. So my quick question from Krakow Airport. I'm on the way to the PS Europe Executive Committee meeting. So the question is to, as you said, Mr. Samaranch, that you as a follower, as I understood, of Thomas Bach program, so you will be continuing his work. So my issue is about the media, because from Olympics to Olympics, it seems like IOC doesn't know how to get rid of journalists. All of you say that you are the good friends of the journalists, you're doing everything, you love journalists, but when we at the Olympics, at the Paris, the one good thing was as a card for the Paris Metro. It was one good thing. For example, you're trying to be modern, you give the floor to the breaking. It's difficult to call the sports, but other things, for example, in the mix zone, you do not introduce the video journalist term after all the broadcasters who paid money, but after that, in the mix zone, after all of them, it's not possible to make a video interview with the athletes. So tell us, please, it will be the same like with Bach with you, or what will be changed in principle with media? Thank you very much.
Well, let me make. You had I'm happy that you liked the subway card. That was good.
It was your idea, no?
No, okay. Wow. I wish I had such good ideas. But but it was. I use a lot the subway myself. It was the best way to go. Only second to another transportation way, which was the bicycles.
Yeah.
Available there. So so much for that. Now listen. Sorry, I will not go on. I'm not capable. I don't know enough. I'm not privy enough to how each category of accreditation for the media, for right hold media, with media without rights, etc., how it filters down the cascade of accreditations and what are the rights. But I promise you, I would look into it. The principle that I said before, Alexandra, stands. You guys are a necessary tool for the distribution and communication of what you do. So it doesn't matter if you are critic or you are friendly or you are not. It does not really matter. Despite what you write, we need you to do that work. And we will make sure we try to make your life as easier as possible.
We hope for the collaboration and cooperation
No,
in the future with you.
No, but this is sure. If he becomes president, he knows that after he has to speak with us, so there is no problem. He knows us.
Okay.
Sometimes we are a pain in the neck.
You are.
Philip, go ahead. Let's try the communication now with Great Britain.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
I do hope so.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. I'd never expected it to happen. This is a moment I didn't think. Mr. Samaranch, on the same theme, you were talking in Lausanne about the media being the friends. And over the years, when I've been trying to report, for example, the new sports coming up, I've been told there's a clause of confidentiality. This is not at the games, but this is actually gathering information between games, which is almost more important when people switch off about the Olympic movement. What does better relations look like from your perspective, were you to become president?
Well, I would say that the first thing is, I hope, Philippe, that it does not come as a surprise that I say, I don't have a clue of what you're talking to me about in this very moment. I don't know what what are the details of that relationship between games and what are the clauses of confidentiality.
In sports coming in, for example, that sort of thing.
But I mean, I guess I don't want to, as I said with Donna, I don't want to go in a guessing game and trying to mumble my way out of it. I will answer to that, but eventually. But let me tell you, the principle is we have to make sure that you are able to do your work. And regardless of other considerations that might be more important, and I am unaware of related to your question, to have people like you, Philippe, reporting on what we're doing in between games is bloody important to us. It's bloody important to us. We want airtime. We want to be relevant. We want to be in everybody's conversations. So it's, in principle, we have to do whatever is possible to feed you with news. As I said, regardless of how you treat them, but we have to give you that opportunity. If we are not doing that in one aspect or another, one space or another, there might be a very good reason or not. But I cannot, sorry, I would not be serious if I would try to tackle that part, the precise part of your question. Sorry, Philip.
Okay, now we go to the last two questions very quick because we are very close to the finish line. Juan Guerra, go ahead.
Juan, otra vez.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Felicitarlos por este encuentro que nos une en el movimiento olímpico. Mi tocayo Juan Antonio, usted forma parte de quizás la gestión que más barreras ha superado en el movimiento olímpico, pandemia, todo lo que usted mostró. Hay una barrera que está allí de ser presidente y es el tema migratorio, el tema de los visados, que constituye una barrera para muchos atletas, y no hablo de participar en los Juegos Olímpicos, sino clasificar el ciclo olímpico en los eventos clasificatorios que los llevan a los Juegos Olímpicos. De ser presidente, ¿qué política tomaría el COI con respecto a este tipo de situaciones que cada día la política le presenta barreras al deporte?
Gracias, Juan. Es un gran problema, es un problema que existe porque vivimos en un mundo político y donde el deporte, que tiene una importancia creciente, pues se utiliza como una herramienta para poder defender intereses o para poder comunicar y conseguir una atención mediática superior. Por lo tanto, estamos siempre expuestos a este tipo de utilización malsana de lo que significa el mundo del deporte, Juan. Trabajamos constantemente, pero no es el Comité Olímpico. Yo no me gustaría poner que todos somos nosotros. Las federaciones internacionales trabajan incansablemente durante todas las competiciones dentro de un ciclo olímpico, para asegurarse que los atletas de todos los países pueden llegar a las competiciones, sean calificatorias para los Juegos Olímpicos o no. Nosotros influimos y nos llaman la atención y colaboramos cada vez que se produce alguna crisis significativa y una breach y una rotura de ese proceso de poder aceptar a los atletas de todo el mundo para las competiciones. Pero no quiero ser necesariamente o contentamente con poca reflexión demasiado optimista. Es un trabajo en curso que no tiene solución, que es trabajar cada día y solucionar cada una de las pequeñas o grandes crisis que se produzcan. El concepto está aceptado por todo el mundo, por todos los países del mundo, de que hay que abrir las fronteras para que los atletas puedan participar. Lo que pasa después en la práctica es una crisis detrás de otra y que no tiene una solución de un acuerdo entre Estados. Los acuerdos están allí. Lo que no funciona muchas veces es no iba a llamarlo egoísmo, pero las decisiones políticas muy cerradas, pequeñas, de un organizador que quiere hacer una declaración política aprovechando ese evento.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Juan Antonio, y éxito.
Okay. Amadi. Open the microphone.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Yes, Gianni.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is about the women activity in Olympic. Considering that half of the world population made up of girls and women, and a significant number of them live in Islamic countries with religious beliefs, and they want to participate in sports and sport events, especially Olympics, while upholding their values. What programs and strategies do you have for the participation of this significant population in future Olympic events? Thank you.
Ahmadi, there are countless examples of Islamic countries, Muslim countries, that are doing extraordinary steps forward in promoting women's sports. Let me tell many countries in the Gulf, starting from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from Emirates. It's happening all over the world, and there should be no contradiction between sport and access of women to sport and religion. There's no need to be. There's no need to be. I'm no expert in, and it's certainly not going to be me in this call that is going to talk about religion, but I'm telling you that it's happening throughout the Islamic world, that women are taking a more important role in a participation in women's sports. In general terms, Paris, 1924, had 4% women participating. Paris, same city, 100 years later, by the day, 2024, 50% of the athletes were women. That is a huge success for humanity, not for the Olympic movement, not for the West, because we are talking about Olympics, the universality. The entire concert of nations, Islamic and non-Islamic, from all religions and all social walks of life, have moved really forward in these 100 years to go from 4% to 50%. So I think it's work in progress, but it's pretty damn getting there. And in the Islamic countries, there are extraordinary examples of how this can be done in a way that is respectful with the religion and the tradition, and respectful for the more than logical desire of women to participate in world sports.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, dear Juan Antonio, we went all around the world with the question, with the problem, and so on. I don't know, maybe that only Australia is out, because today Tracy was silent. Tracy is very Australia. Why was Tracy silent? We are not used.
I had my hand up and you said that we were running out of time, so
No,
no.
no.
So that others had a chance.
You have the time to, yeah.
Thank you.
We cannot cut off Australia as a continent.
Thank you very much. Juan Antonio, thank you again for taking questions from everybody. Mine was along Donna's lines, and it was thinking about the Olympic movement and all it's come to stand for. I know that you need more money and to get more sponsors to come in, but when you talk about sometimes the things that are right, they're not necessarily the things that will bring in the money. And so the Youth Olympic Games is one of those, but the other one is the refugee Olympic team. And I wonder about the future of that under your presidency, should you get it.
Well, listen, if I feel proud of something that under the leadership and under his own idea of working together in the Olympic Committee, in the Executive Board with Thomas Bach, is the Olympic Refuge Foundation and the Olympic Refugee Team. Is the thing more hard-feeling thing that we have tried during these 12 years, and it's a huge success. And one of the most emotional moments in these 12 years attending to the Olympic Games was in Rio de Janeiro, Maracanã, 200,000 people, right before the home team of Brazil marched into the stadium. The refugee team were there. It was a moment that I recommend all of you guys to look in the archive in video, because it's a feeling that we have that's very, very difficult to explain. So under my hypothetical presidency, that will continue to be enhanced and empowered. I mentioned in my manifesto, and I think that you and I, Tracy, have discussed that before, that in the new revenue sources, I talk about a donors program. That donor program will have to have a significant part of it related to the Olympic Refuge Foundation. It's one star project, is more necessary than ever, and it sets us apart from the rest of the world. People talk about the refugee crisis, we work.
Thank you.
Okay, Juan Antonio, I can tell you that regarding the Youth Games, there is a possibility to promote, because in 2026 we will be with the IOC for the organizing of the Young Reporter Project in Dakar. Now it's the first time that we will work together, but I think that we have also to clarify sometimes how we can come out with the news. It's a problem of training also of our mind, because sometimes we don't believe in ourselves, and it depends by us. It's exactly as before a competition, no? Or we begin with the result we want to reach, or if not, it's better that we give up. I think that even the young competition can have a future if we believe in it. Because many years ago, if you remember, nobody take care about the women's sport. And now the women's sport is at the top. It's because we have to prepare the field, and we have found the solution to speak about the top guys. So it depends only by how we organize ourselves. This is my point of view. Sorry, I'm getting old. Perhaps I still dream. The more we get older, the more we dream a little bit.
You are a dreamer, Gianni.
Yes,
you're a dreamer.
Yes,
but as John Lennon would say, but you are not the only one.
Okay. No, first of all, I want to thank very much for your patience to be with us, and I think that you were already in our Congress last year for our centennial. Take note that from the 13th to the 17th of May this year, we will be in Rabat as president, or as not president. You are very invited to come over there to discuss about the problem of the future. Okay?
Grazie mille.
Ciao to everybody, and thank you to everybody for everything.